right, we've all been to the tour, so we'll hear more about that next month and probably more about it yet today before we have to make a big decision. So would you please vote, please mark your presence on your tablets. Roll call has been called and
You are absent.
yes, why am I absent? I'm here.
I know.
Click your, did you click that?
I did? Oh,
There you go.
there you go. Pete, would you, mark yourself present, please?
You can't hear.
Okay. Okay,
All right.
so we're
There's
okay?
17
We have
present.
2 absent, all right. So we have 21 plus minus 2, 19,
We have 17.
17.
17,
2 excused, 2 absent.
all right. So we have 17, we have enough for a quorum. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I need one motion to approve the agenda. I have a motion by Supervisor Miller and a second by Supervisor Latour. You've seen the agenda. Is there any problem with it? Right. If not, please vote your ballot. Okay, we have 17 yes, 0 no, 4 absent. Moving on to the minutes. You've had the minutes sent to you. Are there any corrections or additions? All right, I have a motion by Supervisor Diedrich and a second by Supervisor Elliott to approve the minutes. Please vote your ballot. Okay, we have 17 yes, 0 nay, 4 absent, so that has passed. Any communications?
I have no communications.
Public participation? Nothing. All right, special business. County Administrator Todd Romanesco is going to briefly discuss the County Board Rules section on capital improvement projects. You do have a handout in front of you, so I'm going to turn it over to Todd.
So we specified briefly because this is in your county board rules, but I wanted to draw specific attention to it and give you a little bit of information and possibly a little background on this particular area of the rules as it's relevant to the conversations we're having about potentially redoing the second floor and any other capital improvement projects. This came out of several conversations and role clarifications for county board supervisors, committees, and the county administrator and staff when it comes to capital projects. It is a direct excerpt from your rules document. And just for some background information, we used to have a public grounds committee. And a public grounds committee would take action and be involved in building projects. And we also had a highway committee that had opinions about, for example, when we built the highway facility. And it wasn't always clear as to whose role and responsibility it was to make certain decisions. We ran into that when we did the Parks office building. The Parks Commission had some information relevant to what they wanted and needed out of that building, and the Public Grounds Committee had different ideas and different needs that they saw as it related to that building. And to say the least, it was not very efficient or effective government in terms of making decisions on capital projects. So working with the Rules Committee and the full county board, we revised the rules as they are written today. Another part of that, as it indicates on the top, that this is relating to buildings, not roadways, because that is specific to the Highway Committee and the Highway Commissioner. But it's for building projects, capital projects over $1 million. So what had occurred over the years is we would have specific needs within the county for building projects, and rather than go back to a public grounds and to a home committee, the county board, through its rules, gave some autonomy to the county administrator to make decisions on building needs. And I think there was one specifically to the sheriff's office needing to have some specific offices built in the old space, and it required a lot of committee action and a lot of activity regarding something that was pretty minimal. So we set a dollar threshold as to when the capital improvement project policy in your rules takes effect. So as we're talking and we did this tour, this would be a project, for example, that would exceed $1 million, and we would fall into this rule. We did some clarifications, so the board ended up doing away with the Public Grounds Committee and assigned certain committees to building projects. So home committees, such as Parks, is responsible for the Parks buildings, such as the Parks Office, Ledgeview, and anything Parks related. Highway Committee, specifically to the highway facility, in addition to the roadways. The County Administrative Services Committee is responsible for this building, and Health and Human Services Board for the satellite office in Appleton. So it clarified what those committees' responsibilities were, not taking away, though, from the responsibility of Administrative Services Committee overall in your rules that's responsible for the finances and financial decisions that ultimately end up before the full county board to make decisions upon. So just wanted to clarify that. So in this instance, it's the courthouse. So the Administrative Services Committee is the primary lead committee on this remodel, even though Health and Human Services is the only department impacted by it. So as a transparency and feedback process, we have been keeping the Health and Human Services Board in the loop as to, that's the group, or the elected body that would know more about the services. So they've been informed about that, but Administrative Services Committee is ultimately responsible for decisions as it relates to your rules. So we specified things such as design and recommend final design, both interior and exterior. So we got specific about this because we wanted to make sure that you know your role and responsibility as it relates to these projects. So we walked through today, we showed you some concepts for interior to make sure that you're informed and aware of what we're considering. But it's really about conceptual design, both interior and exterior. So what is important about that is that we don't get into paint color, carpet style, ceiling tiles, different things, because that would be much more at the micro level, the staff level. You will be provided things and be able to ask questions of us regarding those conceptual designs, like the office space, the location of the lobby. Those kinds of things are important for you to be aware of and understand how your residents, your citizens, and your districts will enter this building and move through this more efficiently, but not to the level of detail that sometimes people want to get into, those little nuances and decision making. Those are at a staff level. So you will have the ability to review a design, for example, if we move forward with this building project, for design of interior, exterior layout. Site is obviously in this building. We're not doing something separate. Construction management is also something that we talk to the committees and the board about. Some of you may be familiar with the concept of a guaranteed maximum price construction manager at risk. Some of you may not. But what comes from the county administrator to the home committee and then ultimately to the full county board is a discussion and a decision around construction management and guaranteed maximum price and what does it mean to have a construction manager at risk. Those details, that information will be provided to you at a later date because certain things as it relates to construction management cost money. So to have a guaranteed maximum price, putting the construction manager at risk raises the price. So we go through an analysis as staff for you to determine whether or not we believe that's a need and at what cost. Ultimately, you get to decide. We did that on the highway facility, for example, with under a guaranteed maximum price, construction manager at risk. We did that on the jail facility, on the sheriff's office. And there's dollars obviously attached to that, because what that generally means is change orders that are in the scope of a project under a guaranteed maximum price are covered by a construction manager, not by the county. So sometimes we make decisions on guaranteed maximum price because we only have a stomach for a certain dollar amount and nothing beyond that. But there is a dollar attached to it, so it really depends on the size of the project. And we will come to the committee in this case, if we're doing second floor, Administrative Services Committee, talk through that and have a recommendation for the full county board. Environmental remediation and demolition. So this came up as we had several different things for remediation on the highway building. So this is why that is included in there. That was a complete demo, complete rebuild, and we were talking about a facility from the 30s. So there was quite a bit of remediation that needed to take place. Also, if we're looking for different sites, not in this case, we may end up having to do some remediation, and we would bring that back because there's high cost to that, and who's responsible for that. And demolition for overall project, we will talk about that as well. And the recommend to the county board timing of requests for proposals for anything environmental, any remediation or demolition. So I would envision if we do the second floor, that is going to be a one big project proposal that we would bring forward. If we're phasing it, we'll bring forward those options along with the funding of that project. But this kind of lays out, you know, what the committee does and make sure that we're following that process as staff and that the county board gets a final decision on the overall project. Board of Supervisors on the bottom there talks a little bit about capital improvement projects overall. And then flip to the other side, it's administrator and staff. So we thought it was important to list out things that are the specific responsibility for the administrator. And that is selection of the architect, for example. So in this instance, we're already doing that. We've already done that. We've had conversations with the architect. This is the same architect that we've had in other building project that we just completed, not just, but the old jail and the rebuild of that space for land and water planning and zoning. So we're sticking with the same architect for design. And other decisions, so in conjunction with architect and engineer and construction manager, so that is something that we prepare for and provide conversation with to the home committee on. And in this instance, the home committee has had review of some concepts as it relates to the second floor. I think I was mentioning to some of you that we did a full county board tour after a conversation that Alice and I had. Was like, well, you might as well bring everyone through, because at Administrative Services Committee, some of the members said, you know, it would be nice for us to see it again, because we haven't really seen it except for the one full county board tour. Construction management, as I just described, we will review those, make some recommendations to the home committee, but the actions are taken from administrator to that home committee. Review and approve or deny any request change orders. So previously, Public Grounds would do that. Now that's been assigned to the administrator, so I would review all change orders, have done so on every building project that I've been here on. So that was the highway and the parks and ledge and the jail and the sheriff's office. And then there's the environmental and demolition, if applicable, which it wouldn't necessarily be in this instance. So I just thought it was important to point that out and make sure that you were aware of what the roles and responsibilities were, and if you had any questions. Several of you were here when this was created and are very aware of why you had agreed to create this. But I think it's worked well for, as far as staff goes and our projects go. I think it's provided the transparency and decision-making at every level as appropriate and as efficient as it could be. But if there's any questions for me, you can ask those now, or maybe while we're through, if we get to a process part with the second floor, you can ask at any time.
Are there any questions of Don? Don't see any. Okay. As you have a question, you can certainly contact him and he'll walk you through that. All right, moving on, we have a resolution, 2025-17, and I have a motion by Supervisor Steer and a second by Supervisor Tunis. And would you read this?
Resolution authorizing letter of support for State Individual Assistance Program introduced by the Administrative Services Committee.
Okay. And Supervisor Diedrich, did you want to speak to this, or do you want to turn it over to Bernie?
I think I'll handle it. We'll see if we go from there. But thank you, Madam Chair. This resolution indicates our support for legislation that hopefully will come forward at the state for something called Individual Assistance Program. This is if there's an emergency and FEMA, et cetera, is involved. The payments authorized by FEMA are usually small compared to what the damages are. And this is a state-based program that would allow assistance in those emergencies. So we're just voicing our support for this, and hopefully something will come to fruition. If there are any other questions, I can turn it over to our emergency manager, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Bernie, did you have anything you wanted to add? All right, thank you. All right, are there any questions? Seeing none, please vote your ballot. Simeon, okay. We have 17 yes, 0 nay, 4 absent, so that resolution has been approved. We have the supervisor reports of meetings or seminars attended. If you have any, please put it on your request to speak. Supervisor Diedrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week at the Administrative Services Committee meeting, we learned that there are 5 districts without candidates for the upcoming April election. In case you weren't aware of that, if you want any more details, just contact the county clerk and we'll take care of that. Thank you.
Supervisor Booty.
Thank you. Last week, I had attended the Wisconsin County Highway Association Winter Conference. And a few highlights from that conference was an update on the 6 to 20 foot structures inventory. The state has tallied up all structures from counties, cities, towns, and villages, and there were just over 16,700 structures in the 6 to 20 foot categories. Just as a means of comparison, currently there were 14,000 bridges in the state, that being structures of 20 foot or greater. Of the 16,700 plus structures, 105 of those are in severe condition. That's about 0.6%. And about 1,500 are in poor condition. That is about 9.2%. The Wisconsin County Highway Association and other various entities will be working with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation to be utilizing funding through the Agricultural Road Improvement Program to be addressing those 105 structures in severe condition, hopefully within the next few months. In addition, we had a further presentation, a little more in-depth, from Debbie Jackson from the Wisconsin Transportation Development Association and Colin Driscoll from the Wisconsin Counties Association about resolution that we will be bringing forward next month to the county board, encouraging our state legislature to enact long-term sustainable transportation funding. If you were on the Wisconsin County Association leadership call last week, you would have seen a little bit of that presentation. But we'll be bringing this resolution forward next month, and we will talk about it a little more then. Last month, we got some good news. The East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission has received a Safe Streets for All planning and demonstration grant for County Trunk Highway KK in the amount of roughly $640,000. This was a wonderful accomplishment with great work from our department's staff in conjunction with the City of Appleton, City of Kaukauna, Village of Harrison, Town of Buchanan, and Outagamie County. And lastly, you may have noticed last month I had mentioned that there were so many days in a row where our county highway staff was out taking care of winter weather. Well, the trend has continued pretty unabated for these past many weeks here. And if the current trend continues for the rest of this winter, we would be running out of salt well before the end of winter happens. In light of that, the County Highway Department will be reducing the level of service on low-volume county highways later this week. So, instead of achieving clear pavement on all county trunk highways, on low-volume roads, the County Highway Department will instead be achieving clear wheel road. It will be clear wheel tracks. There will be no change to level of service on high-volume county trunk highways or on those highways that the county maintains for the state under contract. If you have any further questions, you may reach out to the County Highway Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Supervisor Schwallenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I should have left my glasses on. We didn't have a Health and Human Services meeting this month. We will next month. As far as parks is concerned, our cave display at Ledgeview is finished. They're just finishing cleaning up the area. There's lots of, several things that need to be redone out there because of, it seems like the office building all over again. But there's a problem with some concrete and doors not being able to be opened. And paint job has got to be redone in some areas because it was very sloppy. So it's going to take a while before the staff is going to be able to start moving anything back in as far as displays and the animals, which are right now are out at County Park. County Park, we do have some winter campers. They're paying. With our new rule, they have to move every 2 weeks, so they go between High Cliff and us. These are people who this is their home. They don't do this because they don't have any, well, I guess they don't have any place to do, but they're travelers and they like to stay in the area in the winter. So these are some big units. The other thing, it was brought to my attention this week that something about the American Transmission Company is going to be running new lines through Calumet County, starting from Forest Junction, that big, what do they call them? Down to Fond du Lac. They have two routes. One is preferred, and the other one, if that one isn't okay, they have an alternate route. If anybody is interested, they are having a public hearing, or you can go voice or ask questions about it. And it's at the Community Center in Brillion on January 28th. There are two meetings, one at 2 and one at 6. I guess I did not realize that this was going on, but this is because of these data centers that are coming up, and I think this one came out of Ozaki County, because they're going down on the other side too, on the lake side. So they need the extra power, and there's also some concern about water. I'm not familiar with data centers, and maybe sometime somebody, you can put it on the board to educate us or something. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I'd just like to add that this is all coming about the one in Ozaki County. And I was called yesterday, in fact, by the American Commission about this, the public hearing. They sent us maps, and it looks like we're coming in from Forest Junction, more inward, and the other one is going more to the east and coming in. And there's been a lot of opposition to these big, huge centers going up. There was one supposed to go up in Greenleaf, and I don't know how many acres of land it was going to take. And it was putting many farmers out of business because they wanted to purchase their land. Well, these people fought, and they decided then they were not going to put it in that area. It's coming. We also have a small group of this by the North Shore Golf Course, which was put in many, many years ago by Kimberly Clark. It's still there. Kimberly Clark is thinking about maybe expanding. So I would urge my personal, it's up to you people, but I would urge the Land and Water, Planning and Zoning to start to look into something like this. So people who are on that committee, it might be something you want to check into, because it's going to be a big controversial subject. So it's coming, and it's getting closer to us. And I think the next area this area will go into Fond du Lac, and Fond du Lac is not happy with what's going to happen there. So if you want to go to the public hearing and find out more about it, I urge you to go. Supervisors, Wallenberg, you have something else, Mary?
I just wanted to say that if you want to see these maps, go on their website, the American Transmission Company, and they've got the maps on there that shows, like we said, the preferred is a straight line. You'll find out that the alternate kind of squiggles in and out for some reason. I don't know what they're avoiding. So, thank you.
Supervisor Johnston?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention Children with Disabilities Education Board is meeting quarterly. Our next meeting is February. We're currently on the planning stage of funding for that board. As you know, the county took that over from CISA 7. And so just a little information on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnson. Supervisor Huffberger?
I just want to add, I think everybody here as county board member got a letter in the mail talking about the direction of those new power lines. I think we all got them. I did. I just assumed everybody did. Okay, maybe it's because of and one other thing I will say on that, I was contacted by a constituent, and what he was concerned about was the stray voltage. We've all heard about stray voltage. There's going to be, I think the lines are going to be pretty much where they always were, but there's just a lot more juice going through the lines. Something to consider. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, you have the county administrator's report. Anything there? I want to congratulate all our supervisors and our employees for their many years of service, which was indicated there. And we do have a reappointment of the county surveyor, which would be Brad Beagle, whose term expires January 31st, 2026, and his new term would expire January 31st, 2028. And if there's no problem, I have a Motion by Supervisor Miller and a second by Supervisor Elliott. And if you want that to be approved, please vote your ballot. Supervisor Lochran. Thank you. We have 17 yes, 0 nay, 4 absent. So that reappointment has been approved. Our next meeting is going to be February 17th at 6 o'clock. And we will now go into a closed session. And so I ask everybody to please leave except for the supervisors.
You can do roll call.
Yeah, I will.